Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our first ever Facebook Live from overseas. We are in Amsterdam. We're here for the CLIA River Cruise Conference. We had the conference day yesterday. Today is all about ship visits. So we're here in Amsterdam. It's not raining, which is always a plus. Normally at our events, and this is the 9th time we've done the conference, normally it rains, but yesterday was a beautiful day. And today it's a little bit cloudy, but still dry. You've probably noticed I'm not on my own. Morning, Debra.
Morning, Andy. Morning, everyone.
So, Debra, you're the Chief Commercial Officer for APT, based out of Australia. So we're going to chat to Debra in a second. All I want to say is if you have any questions for Debra, then all you need to do on Facebook, and I'm pointing down, hoping that's in the right direction. I don't know where you put your comments, but there's a comments bit. Ask your comments there with any questions, any thoughts, anything you like, and we can ask Debra on your behalf. And Toby, who's here, as ever, will wave and we shall ask those questions of Debra. If you make them really difficult, then that would be great too. You don't mind a difficult question,
Not
do
at
you?
all. May not answer it, but I don't mind it.
Well, firstly, Debra, thank you for joining us on our Facebook Live, but also thank you for speaking yesterday. You're always great at our conferences, and it was great to have you back. So let's talk about you for a second. How did you end up what was the journey to APT?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I've been in travel for over 30 years now, so obviously child labour.
Way too young looking.
Thank you. So yeah, started off as a travel consultant. So I did the big trip around Europe and came home and said, I just want to work in travel. Absolutely fell in love with it. So I had a couple of travel agencies of my own after a few years. Wow. And then moved into marketing for big retail consortia before moving to APT. And I've been with APT for over 15 years now.
And was it, because obviously APT doesn't just do river cruising, I'd like to think that's all that you did, but you do touring and other things as well. So what was it that attracted you to APT? Was it all of it, or was it the river, or was it the touring, or?
Oh, it's really the cultural component and how they looked after their clients. It was really a customer-first approach with APT, and I dealt with them a lot when I was worked for Thomas Cook for over 10 years.
Did you?
Yeah, in Sydney. So when I was at Thomas Cook, APT were a huge supplier of ours, and when I was moving to Melbourne, where APT's head office was, I thought they're the only company I want to work for. Okay. So I put the call in. I said, have you got a job?
So Melbourne's home?
Melbourne's home, yeah.
And you look after, obviously, the global interests of APT. So does that mean you travel a lot? I do travel a lot. I'm very fortunate. I'm not so sure about leaving an Australian summer this week to be here for a European winter, but... We did lay on some sunshine for you yesterday. Yeah. And UK is obviously an important part of the business, which is why you're over quite a lot, and you have quite a big team in the UK. So how important is the UK, and what happens in the UK? Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the UK is going to be our fastest growing market globally, and it's the one that we're putting all of our interest to. Our trade partnerships are second to none in the UK, so I think you'll see our team of 4 on the road. We'll be working even more closely with all of you out there, and we want to do whatever we can to be able to grow the market. And you're right, it's not just about river, even though river is a huge part of what we do. APT, being over 90 years old, started in touring, then moved into river nearly 20 years ago, and we also have expedition cruising as well. So what we want to do is grow our expedition cruising, our river cruising, and our touring globally with the UK market. So we'll talk about those in a second, but staying in the UK, one of the taglines that we often see is APT Difference. What is that? It's a thing that drew me to APT. Okay. So the APT Difference really is about the people. So the people at APT, they really do care, and they're there to make a difference. The value that our programs bring to both travel agents and to customers, the product itself, the product delivery, and that really shows through in the Trustpilot scores, which rate the highest in the touring and cruising segment. And it's such a joy to wake up every morning and read all of the reviews coming in on the Trustpilot, because it drives advocacy and loyalty as well. So you get repeat clientele. And Paul, who heads up your UK team, I often see tweets from him and social media posts taking some of those customer comments and sharing them. So that customer feedback is obviously really important.
It's critical because people want to know they're making the right decision. Agents want to know that they're going to be supported and they're making the right decision for their clients as well. And you look at an APT client, the average APT client will do 4 trips. So you know if you get them the
4
first time...
4 trips a year?
4 trips in their life on average.
Right.
So you know if you get them the first time, you're going to be able to get that repeat clientele.
And how similar, you're an Australian-based company, so is the UK quite an easy market given the cultural similarities, or are we completely different to Australian guests and trade?
Do you want me to tell the truth?
Yes. No, no, in a nice way, obviously.
No, the truth is they're incredibly well aligned, and the Australians and the Brits travelling together get along like a house on fire, like it's a perfect marriage. They both enjoy each other. Yeah. So we think it's ideal.
And is APT very much an international product? So if they take one of your river cruises or one of your tours, are they likely to be doing that with other nationalities?
Mostly Australians, New Zealanders and Brits. So they're the 3 key nationalities that we have on board, and we do that because we want our clients to be with like-minded people who have similar interests, and it works really well. It's a great recipe.
And this is a really bad question probably, because I should know this, but are there differences big differences between the Australian market and the New Zealand market?
No.
They're very similar?
Very similar. I think the New Zealand market are more regional, more rural. Okay. A lot of them come from country properties as well, so very down to earth, but no, a lot of similarities.
Just being nosy. We held our first Asia Forum last year, and we had some Australian agents join us, and we had the chance to enjoy some of your hospitality as well. So the Mekong is a really important destination for you, because I know you've got a new ship coming.
Oh, we do. So the Mekong is very important to us. So we've got it under both our brands, APT and Travel Marvel, and we have 2 ships currently on the Mekong, but the great news is that we have a brand new luxury ship coming onto the river in November next year, the APT Mekong, exclusive to APT, and it's going to be the most luxurious ship on the Mekong. 3 restaurants, the Luke Nguyen restaurant there as well, under the chef's table.
He's an amazing chef and a great ambassador for APT.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So that will come on, but the other exciting news is the current APT ship, the APT Lotus, is moving to Travel Marvel. So Travel Marvel, we're going to give it a new name too, the Aspara. What do you think?
Lovely.
Yeah, sounds exotic.
So we're going to come to Travel Marvel in a second, but staying with your new ship, some people aren't aware that the ships that you have on the Mekong are very different to the ships you'd put on a European river. So tell us about the new ship in terms of size and number of guests, etc.
Yeah, so it's got much smaller in size, so it's about 1/3 of the size of one of our European ships. Our European ships are quite contemporary in their style. The ships that we have on the Mekong are in a localised style, and we think that's really important to have those surroundings that are quite familiar to that Indochina region. The suites are huge, they're 300 square feet at the smallest, but still very luxurious as well, so absolutely gorgeous.
And for those who worry about things like food, because food is a really important part of your holiday, so it's not just local, but you can get Western food as well as local food?
You can.
I mean, the local food to me is incredible.
Yeah, but it's not for everyone.
Choice, yeah.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. And I think the ship becomes a sanctuary, so you're sort of off the ship during the day, you're really getting into the local communities and cultures, lifting the lid on things, learning a lot. Then you come back to the ship in the evening and it's a bit of a sanctuary, it's air conditioned, you've got food, Western or local food as well, a bit of entertainment, and you can just relax in the evening before you sort of head out again the next day.
And she's launching November next year.
Yep.
And already on sale?
So already on sale.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned Travel Marvel. What is that? Because we're used to APT, so tell us what Travel Marvel is.
It's a great question, Andy.
Thank you.
So Travel Marvel is our premium brand. So if we look at APT, which is 5-star luxury, all-inclusive, then we have Travel Marvel, which is premium, and it has the key essential inclusions, and it's great for a slightly different demographic. So those customers who might want to do more on their own, pay for only what they need. So food, basic shore excursions, a few drinks, and then they're more flexible. They can do what they would prefer to do with their own time, whereas APT, you have everything included. It's incredible value, the Travel Marvel product.
So does that attract, therefore, a different type of guest, or does it attract the same guest, but they want to be more inclusive on one holiday and maybe less inclusive and independent on another?
I think they're two different customers. Yeah, so I think the APT customer is from that sort of desire economy. They're the ones that like to keep up with the Joneses. They like everything, the best that they can get, everything done for them, just choose what they want to do on the day and not think too much. Where the APT customer is more price conscious, value based, and they just want to have what's essentially important to them included. So it's two different mindsets, two different ways of thinking. It's like Tesco's versus Waitrose.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Travel Marvel is available to UK agents to book, and they will see that as a separate product.
Yep. So it all sits under the APT brand,
okay,
and we call it Travel Marvel Essentials. So it's our Essentials brand under APT, but it attracts all of the same support, commissions, and back-end support that you would want as well.
Now, you mentioned they're different in terms of where they sit in the premium to luxury, but you've got a ship moving from APT to Travel Marvel. So will that ship change, or are you upping the experience, if you like, on the Travel Marvel ship on the Mekong?
Everyone loves an upgrade, especially if it's free.
That's true.
So I call this one pay for economy and get business class upgrade. So it's going to be the best kept secret, I think, on the Mekong is Travel Marvel on the Aspara.
So you're going to spoil them.
That's how we like to roll.
And is Travel Marvel limited to the Mekong, or is it across all of your products?
So Travel Marvel does most of the same destinations as APT, which is great because then you can really attract a much wider audience into your agency as well and not be limited to one type of the luxury end, but you can also have that premium traditional end of the market as well. So next year, in fact, we've got brand new ship coming onto the rivers in Europe with Travel Marvel. Brand new build, and it's got an Australian pub on board.
Really?
It does, and it's going to have chips, beer, probably a Parmigiana, and it's going to be a much more relaxed style, but a brand new contemporary ship next year coming on board. The year after we'll have another two, so there'll be 3 brand new ships on the Rhine and Danube with Travel Marvel 2020 and 2021. 2020.
So again, those are available. And is it difficult as APT to decide whether you're building a Travel Marvel ship or an APT ship, or or is one growing faster than the other?
Well, our APT continues to be in consistent growth, and it's our the largest brand as well. The Asia product is going off the Richter scale in growth at the moment, as is Russia and the Baltics. But Travel Marvel is having some substantial growth as well, and most of Travel Marvel's growth is coming in Europe.
When guests go to the Mekong, do they don't just treat it as a 7-night voyage or a river cruise, so presumably there's some pre and post tours that are included. Do most people do that?
Yeah, I'd say about 90% of our customers will have extended holidays in Indochina. So they'll either do the Mekong with pre and post in Ho Chi Minh, Siem Reap. They'll do our extended touring, which might run from Saigon through to Hanoi and then join the ship as well.
Right.
Extensions into Laos and also into China, or mix it up with Myanmar. So next year we're back into Myanmar again, so a lot of clients will also combine both the Mekong and the Irrawaddy together as well.
And we should be very clear, the Irrawaddy experience is very different to the Mekong.
The Irrawaddy is where the Mekong was about 10 years ago, so it's much more rustic, it's much less developed, and that's quite a unique experience, but still within the sanctuary of a beautiful ship, but the whole infrastructure is quite rustic. Yeah.
You mentioned Russia and Baltic rivers. Presumably people are looking for a different river, so they may have done the Rhine and the Danube, they may have done the French river. Presumably they're looking for the next destination. So how do you keep up with that? Do you keep adding ships to rivers you haven't currently got tonnage on?
Well, we've got ships in 14 countries at the moment.
Oh, wow.
So we've got a pretty good selection.
Pretty good footprint already.
Pretty good footprint. So we've got 20 different itineraries that operate on the rivers currently. So I think at this stage we've got a great breadth. It's about communicating the different rivers. So that's where our sales team can work with each of you to educate you on the different rivers and ships that we have. And when a client does their first trip, say on the Danube, what are they likely to do as their second trip? And that's how you can target them as a return customer with the right product at the right time.
And you spoke yesterday at our conference, and you were our closing speaker yesterday, and you talked a lot about types of customers. So maybe you could kind of summarise, for those people who weren't in the room yesterday, the kind of conversation you had around neos and traditionalists and things like that.
Well, I think if you look at River Cruise, the core market is the baby boomer, 55 plus. They've got the three things I love: time, money and health. And if they don't have health, you send them off, get them patched up and bring them back and send them off again. So it's the perfect demographic for river cruising. But we're seeing these two emerging segments coming through in society, where the researchers are seeing that society's really broken up into two key groups: the neos, the next economic order, and the traditionalists. And they're as different as Truffles and McDonald's. And your neos want the best experience, the luxuries, they'll pay for it. They don't worry about price as much. They're more considerate of the experience. So when you're selling to a neo, what they want to know is, what are these lifetime experiences going to be? What are they going to do that nobody else has done before? How can they be really pushing themselves? And then you've got your traditionalists, who are your great Aldi shoppers. They're all about price. So they're the shopper that has this Excel spreadsheet. They've got the list of all the inclusions, all the river cruise companies across the top, and then they match to see who's going to give them the most for their money. And that's a traditional buyer. But then you've got a much broader segment, which is around families, solos, and all of those emerging segments as well. You've got some great companies doing amazing things with families, like we've got with Armour and their great work that they're doing with Disney as well. Yeah. We've got you doing the younger market as well. So I think it's important to think about how you can reach those new customer segments and how to talk to them as well.
Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned yesterday, which I think we've seen across travel, is that people are now looking for experiences rather than buying stuff, because we've kind of done the stuff bit. So that must help us from a sales perspective, that people are looking for stuff that they want to do and get involved.
Oh, I think so. I think River Cruise is perfect. Yeah. It's all about the experience, and that's why I think the rise of river cruising and the growth we've seen, 10% last year, compound growth, is incredible, and that's just going to keep going. But it is around selling through the experience, not just through price.
And you mentioned families. Have you seen an increase in the number of families interested in river cruising, or is it very much as we would often think of river cruising as that older couple travelling after retirement?
We're seeing a little bit of family coming through, particularly through the school holiday periods of Christmas and some of the summer holidays. But our biggest growth area is really in the new boomer coming through, those people in their 40s and early 50s. Solos as well, friendship groups travelling together, lots of friendship groups. I've just returned from a rowdy group of 6 of us all travelling together, first trip away without our children. So we're seeing a lot of that new customer coming through as well. It's
interesting, isn't it? Because actually you look at the profile of river cruise guests, and it's very different, I think, to what people would imagine.
Yeah, it is.
And that's great. It's good because I love a river cruise. It's such a great way to see lots of different places.
Well, it is, isn't it? It goes through as well. Yeah. I heard somebody say at the conference yesterday, it's not like an ocean ship that visits a country, it goes through the heart of the country. And you can often be visiting places that you actually just couldn't access on your own or even through a tour.
Do you have a favourite river? Are you allowed to have a favourite river? You must be able to.
It's like having a favourite child, so we won't ask that question, will we? I think it's the Rhone. I've just got back from the Rhone, and it's all about the food and the wine. I could live on the Rhone. Actually, I could live in Bordeaux as well.
That would be quite... I love Bordeaux, one of my favourite cities. And all of those vineyards around, and it would be a very unhealthy lifestyle, I think, if I moved there, but it would be great fun.
As long as it lasted.
Yeah, exactly. Now, famously in the UK, currently you're working with a very famous celebrity chef and presenter. So what is that relationship you have with John Turode?
It's a really special relationship, actually. You know, we're not ones to just bring a celebrity on
for the sake of a celebrity name. If we work with someone, they need to actually make a difference to the experience that your guests are going to have, and that's exactly what John's done. So John, being an Aussie, Melbourne-born boy, we sent him down to the Kimberley so we could record his experiences in the Kimberley, and he used a lot of the local native foods and created an incredible menu there, which we filmed. And he's now going to be travelling with guests from the UK in April next year. So if you've got anyone who loves John Turode, get them booked onto his tour in the Kimberley next April.
I'm going to make a note. I love John Turode. I'm a big fan.
I think you might have to book on.
I'm going to have to. I'll ask Paul for a discount. So he's sailing with you in April?
Yeah, he's going to be sailing with us. He's going to be cooking for guests at our Bungle Bungle camp, and then he's going to be designing the menu that's going to run all year through our Bungle Bungles camp as well. So if any of your clients are thinking of the Kimberley, I'd get them on next year.
And Kimberley's one of those places, I've been lucky enough to go there myself, which was one of the most amazing cruise destinations I've ever been to. It's have you done the? You must have done. You're an Australian.
I haven't done the cruise. I've only done the tour.
You've done the tour, but it is one of those amazing destinations that I think it's you don't see anybody for a long time. It's almost wilderness. Am I describing this right? And there's some amazing natural places where things like the sea level drops really a lot, and one of the second biggest drops in sea level in the world. There's horizontal waterfalls, there's climbing up waterfalls. It's an amazing place.
Did you see the whales and the sharks?
We did. We got really close. I don't think we saw sharks, but we got really close to some whales that were around. It's such a beautiful area. We flew over the Bungle Ranges. I'd love to have spent more time because the land is beautiful.
It's extraordinary. And to think it was only discovered, the Bungle Bungles, in 1983.
Yes. It is bizarre. So for those who don't know where it is, it's between kind of Darwin and Broome, is that right?
Yeah.
In the north bit of Australia. But it's one of those incredible areas.
Well, it's so large. It's 3 times the size of England. Wow. And it only has 40,000 people. As John Turode educated me, half the size of Wembley. Does that sound right?
Yes, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
So it's a huge area to explore and really untouched over millennia.
Yeah, and then we saw lots of rock art. So that's very famous for its Aboriginal rock art and stuff. And we did lots of climbs and hiking. Beautiful destination. So will you be working more with John over the coming years, or are you seeing how this goes and working with him currently?
Well, we'll see how it goes, but at this stage things are working really well for us. He's really helping to expose the destination, so far so good.
One of the things, the other things you said yesterday, you talked about being disruptive, so that you can really make a name for yourself and get some impact in the market. So that's something APT believes in, but it's something travel agents can do as well.
Yeah, it is. And I think to stay relevant and resilient in changing market conditions, you need to be disruptive, and it takes a little bit of courage and a little bit of calculated risk, but if you do that, you should see the rewards as well. So one thing that we did is we went on a reality TV show in Australia.
Yes.
Did you see that?
You saw that. You showed a clip of it yesterday. That looked amazing.
Yeah. And we did that we took a group of 5 very different people and demographics onto a river cruise in Europe, and we just let them go. We had no editorial influence over the show itself, but we wanted to demonstrate that river cruising is really for any age group, any demographic at all, and it rated its socks off. It was really great. So what I would suggest is you use your own stories if you've been on a river cruise, or any of your clients or friends, and make some videos, social media, maybe go to your BDMs of your local river cruise company and see what assets they've got, and really start to get a different story out there, because river cruise is for everyone.
Yeah, and actually what's great is that as more travel agents see ships and river cruise themselves, as you say, they have their own stories, their own images, their own stuff to tell customers, and that makes it much more authentic.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. So we should tell people where they can get some more information, which is apt-experts.co.uk, and they can talk to their BDMs and they can get in touch. There's lots of ways they can find you if they haven't found you already.
Yep, we're here. We'd love to work with you. And also, I'm a bit excited.
We got nominated for the Globes.
Did you?
We did. A couple, in fact.
So the Travel Weekly Globes is the big event in January, and you got nominated?
Yes, we've been nominated. So if you love working with us, or if you love what you hear about us, we would love for you to vote for APT for the Globes as well. So thank you for your support.
I can't possibly comment. But you're in Amsterdam today, and then are you heading home at some point this month?
Tomorrow heading back home, and then flying out again a week later.
Yeah. And when are you back in the UK, or have you got no plans currently to come and see us again?
I'll be back early in the new year. Yep.
Debra, thank you for coming all this way to speak at conference yesterday and for joining us on our Facebook Live. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure, Andy.
Yeah, it's been great fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And we'll see you on our next Facebook Live. We have an evening one coming up where we'll be talking all things expedition cruising. So look out for that on our Facebook page. But in the meantime, thank you very much from Amsterdam. Thank you.
Bye.